Okay, so we're moving ahead to lesson 2.2, and in this lesson we're going to define and apply conditional statements. So we're going to talk about conditional statements, their converses, inverses, and contrapositives. So to begin, we need to know what a conditional statement is and the parts of it. So a conditional statement is an if-then statement. And in symbols, P is the first part of that statement. P is the if part of that statement. Q is the then part of that statement. So in a conditional statement, the hypothesis, which is shown by the symbol P, is the part usually following if. Okay? The conclusion is the part usually following then, and that's symbolized by Q. So we read a conditional statement as if P, then Q, or P implies Q. So this is a statement where there is no if or then in the specific statement. So P can imply Q. So in this Venn diagram, we describe the hypothesis versus the conclusion. The hypothesis is usually part of a smaller set than the conclusion. So an example of a statement where the hypothesis comes from a smaller set: if an animal is a cardinal, then it is a bird. P is the statement an animal is a cardinal. Q is the statement that animal must be a bird. So the set of cardinals is smaller than the set of birds. So when we talk about identifying the hypothesis and conclusion, I'm asking what the hypothesis and conclusion of this conditional statement are. So if an angle has a measure of 130 degrees, then the angle is obtuse. So it's remembering the hypothesis is the part following if, the conclusion is the part following then. So if is not actually part of our hypothesis. It's just the hypothesis follows if. Then is not part of our conclusion. Our conclusion follows the word then. So to circle the hypothesis, I'm just going to circle an angle has a measure of 130 degrees. Okay? That's the hypothesis. The conclusion is the angle is obtuse. So hypothesis follows if, conclusion follows then. Now, writing a conditional from a sentence, from a different phrase, I'm asking, how can you write the phrase, dolphins are mammals, as a conditional? So if we look at these two statements in color here, one statement says all dolphins are mammals. The other statement says all mammals are dolphins. The statement that's true between those two is that all dolphins are mammals. Not all mammals are dolphins. Some mammals are dogs. Some are cats. Some are whales. So those are two different statements, but dolphins are mammals. Not all mammals are dolphins. So in the next steps, I'm going to ask you to identify the sets. The set of dolphins or mammals is inside the set of dolphins or mammals. So what I'm getting at with this is the set of dolphins is inside the set of mammals. We call that a subset. Dolphins is a subset of mammals. So when we identify our hypothesis versus conclusion, the smaller set is the hypothesis, the larger set is the conclusion. So our conditional statement we can write is, if an animal is a dolphin, then it is a mammal. So in example 3, this is where we evaluate the truth value of a conditional statement. So this is where we kind of work on our communication skills and our interpretation skills here. So is this conditional statement below true or false? If it is false, we have to provide something called a counterexample. And I'll explain what a counterexample is. So if a month has 28 days, then it is February. So to evaluate that statement, we have to think about months that have at least 28 days. Because I'm not saying a month has exactly 28 days. I'm just saying a month has 28 days. So crossing out the months that have at least 28 days, January has 28. So does February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. So what that means is this statement is false. And if you're going to give a counterexample is an example that fits the hypothesis but does not fit the conclusion. So a counterexample to this is literally any month you could write. So a counterexample to this is May. All right? So that's my counterexample. Explaining this, the way I explain this is false. All 12 months have 28 days. Simple as that. So evaluating a statement, specificity is important. Being specific and intentional with your words is important. So this is the end of the first video I'm going to post. I'm going to post a second video to cover the rest of the notes because the rest of the notes will take a little bit longer and I want to kind of split this up. So you can kind of take a break. You can do the first 12 problems of the practice to practice just this part of the notes. Once you're finished with that, that's going to prepare you to do the next step, which is the next part of the notes and the back of the practice.